Hello, fellow football connoisseurs, and welcome back to the Quick Take. We have some major breaking news regarding Chelsea and the whole ownership situation. Now, as all of you remember, Chelsea were sold as a result of Roman Abramovich being sanctioned by the British government following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And as a result of that, we were sold to Clearlake Capital and Todd Boehly. Now, Clearlake Capital is the figurehead of that is really Boehly Eghbali, whereas Todd Boehly is his own sort of person. He's his own sort of investor. He comes from the Dodgers, he comes from LA Lakers, he comes from American sports and dominant teams in American sports. Again, the Dodgers, very dominant side. The Lakers, known for being a fantastic team full of superstars. And when Todd Boehly came in, that is what we were expecting to see. Chelsea becoming a team of superstars. And we were linked to players like Neymar, like these marquee kind of signings, and that I think was led by Todd Boehly. But then since then we have had the acquisition of such people like Paul Winstanley and Lawrence Stewart, which I think in line which I think fall in line with Boehly Eghbali's kind of philosophy for Chelsea. Buying players for low amounts of money, basically becoming Brighton on steroids, where they're not really fussed about winning trophies, but they're happy with being a team in the Premier League that is able to generate a profit for shareholders through buying players young and selling them on later for major profit. But we have this regarding the whole situation, the relationship between Todd Boehly and Boehly Eghbali. Major breaking. Chelsea FC's main shareholders are exploring their ownership of the English Premier League football club after little more than 2 years in charge, amid a deterioration in relations. People familiar with the matter said. That is coming in from business. Now that came in around about last night, 23 hours ago, around about 8 o'clock last night. And then we had some further updates from Matt Law. Clearlake Capital are not interested in selling shares. Clearlake would be interested in buying any of Boehly's, Walters or Weiss's shares in the future. We then had this from Sky Cover. Todd Boehly is considering selling his shares. This to me is particularly worrying, as and a lot of Chelsea fans agree with me, and I'll show you in the poll just here, if we were to go down to whether we are Chelsea FC owned by Todd Boehly and his group of people and his philosophy for Chelsea and his way of doing things, or Clearlake Capital, a lot of Chelsea fans, the majority of Chelsea fans, chose Todd Boehly. And it really does look like this is a situation that is going to end one way or the other, with either Boehly Eghbali acting as basically the main guy at Chelsea, or Todd Boehly. Now, before this all came out, there were rumours that the relationship between Todd Boehly and Boehly Eghbali, were not good. Of course, they disagreed on a number of things. Again, the stadium, the transfer policy, the wage structure. A lot of these things they disagreed on. Breaking. Chelsea at risk of civil war. Boehly believes his situation with Clearlake is untenable. Now, although last night we had reports that Todd Boehly was considering selling his shares in the club, basically allowing Boehly Eghbali to have complete free reign over what he decides to do with Chelsea, we had this major breaking. Boehly believes he can quickly raise over £2.5 billion to make an offer to Clearlake Capital that would also give Chelsea's majority shareholder a profit on their initial investment in the club. Investors are said to be ready to back Boehly, who is believed to have a 20 to 30 year vision in Chelsea, which would include a new stadium. As mentioned earlier, Todd Boehly has a slightly different way of doing things compared to the likes of, compared to the likes of Boehly Eghbali. Now, if I remember correctly, Todd Boehly's LA Dodgers signed one of the biggest young prospects, or one of the biggest prospects in baseball. I don't watch baseball, so I'm not fully clued in. And I heard him described as basically like the Erling Haaland or the Kylian Mbappe of baseball. He signed him to the LA Dodgers on a monster contract. Now, you may think, well, that's just stupid. They're just chucking money away. But it shows ambition. It shows that he's not going to allow wages, and he's not going to allow star power or a player's size to stop him from bringing him into his team or his American franchise or whatever, in order to create a dominant side that is going to win trophies, get the fans on side, give the people something to root for, and not just this Chelsea that we are now, where we just invest in players like Kellyman and Jorgensen and these kind of signings, and David Washington's, where we spend quite a lot of them, but they're on low wages and they're just basically there to fill the squad in, and maybe they'll be better players in a number of years, but who knows, maybe they'll stagnate, maybe they'll collapse, like players like Mason Mount, who had a lot of success early in his career and then fell off, or like Jadon Sancho, who had a lot of success early in his career and then fell off. I'm hoping he climbs back on the wagon, but that's a story for another day. Todd Boehly has reservations about the recruitment strategy at the club and the failure to make progress in redeveloping Stamford Bridge. A very frustrating situation, of course. Stamford Bridge, we have a capacity of around 40,000 seats, and it just feels like we're falling behind the big players in the Premier League in terms of stadium, in terms of match day revenue. I do think that a new stadium is needed in order for Chelsea to become what we are trying to be, which is that dominant force in the Premier League once again, that dominant force in the Champions League once again. Raising the amount of fans in the stadium, raising the noise, raising the seats, allowing us to bring in more money during match days, so then we don't have to make decisions like selling Conor Gallagher or selling just academy players just so we can get pure profit. It all comes together, and that is what Todd Boehly wants. He wants a better stadium, he wants better players, he doesn't want to waste time, he wants Chelsea to be successful now. Of course, he understands that everything takes its time, but he wants Chelsea to be the best version of itself it could be, whereas I think Bedad Eghbali and Clay the Capital, they're not really too fussed whether Chelsea win the Premier League or the Champions League or whether we become a dominant side once again. I think they're more worried about money coming into the club through player sales and that kind of stuff, cost cutting. So bringing us towards the end of the news stories for today, Todd Boehly is prepared to raise over £2.5 billion in order to get full control of the club. That would mean a club valuation of close to £4 billion, close to double the £2.3 billion Clearlake/Boehly paid for it. Boehly would like the situation resolved quickly. That's coming in from Ben Jacobs about 48 minutes ago, and that makes complete sense. Of course, Chelsea right now, we are coming into probably one of the most important seasons of recent years regarding Chelsea and the future of Chelsea. We have a lot of players like Reece James who we really want to keep, but we could be forced to sell them if we fail to make Champions League football once again. That is a lot of money missed out on year after year after year because we have been unstable. We've had to sell key players. We've brought in managers, not great managers, Graham Potter, Maurizio Pochettino, dumb decisions like that. We have struggled as a result of the uncertainty regarding the whole ownership process, the whole, players coming in, they're trying to figure out how it works, new managers coming in. So what Todd Boehly really wants is a bit of stability whilst also removing what he believes is not a virus, not a parasite, but something that just isn't in the best interest to Chelsea Football Club and Chelsea Football Club's future, and that is Clearlake Capital. So, of course, it makes sense that he wants this resolved quickly. It's also unfair. It's also completely unfair on the manager Enzo Maresca because week in, week out, he may be asked questions in presses regarding the ownership problem. And we saw this what happened last year, or a couple of years ago actually, 2-3 years ago, with Thomas Tuchel when the club was sanctioned, and he was being asked a lot of political questions regarding the future of the club, regarding Roman Abramovich and his ties to Russia and Putin. And he dealt with it brilliantly. But I don't want another manager to have to go through something like that where instead of being asked questions about the squad, the philosophy, what he's trying to implement, player updates, what he sees in a certain player, how they're going to improve the next game, that kind of stuff, he's just going to be asked questions that he doesn't need to be asked. He's just going to have this buzz around him regarding the whole ownership process and who's in control. Who would you rather have at Chelsea? Who do you align with more? Who do you think has a wiser vision regarding Chelsea's future? He doesn't need that noise. What he needs is time to really embed himself with the side, get things going, and find Chelsea or get Chelsea into position where we are once again sitting comfortably in the top four and challenging for the Premier League, challenging for Champions League football and Champions League titles. Getting over the line with the Conference League. I know it's the Conference League, but getting over that line, getting that trophy at the end of the season and progressing into European football. That is what we need to focus on. And this whole situation is a lot of noise and it's unnecessary for Enzo Maresca to deal with. As I said, the poll which shows how Chelsea fans feel regarding who they would rather have at Chelsea Football Club making the decisions, 75%, 3/4 of Chelsea fans, 26,647 votes, voted for Todd Boehly, and I am one of them. I would rather have Todd Boehly making decisions at the club, or at least implementing sporting directors who are maybe smarter in football but have a similar vision in terms of bringing in world-class players on slightly higher wages in order to create another dominant side once again, and not just doing a Moneyball style of football where you just buy, or a Brighton style of football where you just buy young players and just pray to God that they come good. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like the video, like, comment, subscribe. I've been The Quick Take, and I'll catch you all on the next one. See you later.